Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money. So check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try to make your world a little weirder. I'm Niall.
And I'm Kyle. And this week, I kind of wanted to kick things off by talking about audio recording techniques, something that Niall is intimately familiar with in the biblical sense.
Yes, I do fuck a Neumann U87 on a regular basis.
Favorite? I didn't understand that. What's your favorite? What's your favorite waveform to fuck?
Ooh, do I like it smooth? Do I like it chunky?
That's my question.
I think it would be the CD release of Metallica's Death Magnetic.
Okay.
Because that's like just smooth chunk all the way through. There's no deviation. There's absolutely no decibel variation in volume at any point. So it just is like it's like a slide. It's just fucking no. It's like a hockey rink. It's fucking flat the entire way, depth the entire time. Yeah. That was a niche pull for fucking audio fans.
Well, I can kind
that album is notoriously like over. It is the example of what overcompressed, very static waveform audio is for a lot of people. Metallica's Death Magnetic.
Okay, I've never actually listened to that or much Metallica because I'm not interested. But I will say that I wanted to bring in
lifestyle becomes your death style.
I almost quoted that when talking about End of Evangelion a couple of days whenever we recorded that.
Niall and Jules are shaking hands right now,
but I couldn't quite make it work. That is the big takeaway from the Evangelion series, though, is that your lifestyle does become your death style.
I mean, it's true.
That's true. Jules is here.
Jules in the house.
Who?
The third co-host in the room. And I wanted to bring up the audio engineering thing because you were both bringing up something very interesting beforehand about how when you have two people in a room and you're trying to record, one has to go up and one has to go down. And I thought that was interesting.
And honestly, we're both living it up as we're going down. So like it's just a lot of really good audio references.
Sugar, we're going down to Mephisto's Cafe.
We're going
Jesus
down.
Christ.
I'm yelling timber.
Okay, we need one more. Who's got a button?
Button. Who's got the button? What's another one?
We're gonna go down to Georgia to beat the devil in a fiddle contest.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today.
Oh, okay.
But it could be. Like if we want to just do just free associate on lyrics throughout the episode, I think that would be a good kind of change for the podcast.
How long do you think we could do that? Like, how long do you think we could actually pull that off?
Just doing what do they call that game on Solo Bolos where they're just like free associating between songs? But we're doing
Olympic Song Challenge.
Olympic Song Challenge.
They call it Olympic Song Challenge. That is... I think I've heard Lauren Lapkus call them out for this before, but it's not like they fucking invented that. That's an improv game. That's just an improv game that they decided to play. And now they are like, and our signature thing that we do on Solo Bolos. And it's like, that's just a game. That's an improv game.
But what I was getting at is we'd be doing it without the music to it. So it'd just be kind of unplugged. It would be kind of spoken word Olympic Song Challenge.
I feel like I shouldn't diss my favorite podcast in the first 5 minutes of guesting on a different podcast.
I mean, I think there is this weird, what is it with the impulse of people who like get in front of a microphone and immediately they're just like, I'm going to start a beef, because we did the same thing.
We did kind of
like on episode 1 of this podcast.
that impulse.
We just like, we really decided to come out hot against things early on in a way that's like, I've never listened to the podcasts I was shitting on. I have no need to.
See, I've been listening to the aforementioned podcast like all day at work today.
Yeah.
So I was just excited to get to air out my opinions on
Wait, so
my favorite show.
Lauren Lapkus was on the Joe Rogan Experience?
Yeah, she did the circuit. She did fucking oh god.
Can you imagine?
I lost someone's name in the middle of it. What's the guy that looks like a thumb with a mullet? Theo Vaughn. She did Theo Vaughn. She did
Okay.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's kind of
Anyway.
true. Well, that was the niche reference corner of the podcast, which we tend to dip into.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any niche references for the rest of this.
Yeah. And also like it's really niche to reference 2 of the most popular podcasts
Well,
in the
okay,
world.
sure, but also, you know,
I thought he meant our very stupid lyric
Oh, that too.
yeah,
pass off.
I kind of meant that. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. I don't mean to, you know,
or like quoting some kind of monster as if it's not 2025.
Yeah. Hey, everyone should go watch Some Kind of Monster. Even if you don't like Metallica, it is a singular experience that is
It is so fascinating.
it is
I've never
so
seen
interesting. Imagine if 3 of the most dysfunctional, overly like out of touch people decided they still had to be tied together for monetary reasons, but had to make art together.
Oh, boy.
And they just brought in a new guy who they were paying like he was an employee. And then also you have an egomaniacal psychiatrist that thinks that he's part of the band. It is
what?
Do you know what that movie? So
They
the
literally
basic,
bring in a therapist to sit in on sessions while they're trying to make this
because
album.
they can't get along.
Because they are
this-
arguing so much. And then the therapist starts helping write songs and thinks he's a
God.
member of Metallica. And it is one of the most twisted, like that guy.
Yeah.
He should have his license revoked, whatever he has. It's like, you're not doing your job, man.
I didn't know about this. This does sound awesome. Metallica's never really done it for me personally, but that sounds very entertaining. I've never heard of it.
I can fuck with
mean,
some of that
Kyle-
really thrash material,
Take my hand.
but
We're off to Never Neverland.
yeah. All right, exit night, enter life.
Yes.
yeah.
What the hell were you trying to tell us about?
So I honestly was just going to go through the Metallica discography. We're going to start with Kill 'Em All,
That is pretty weird.
I mean, do you think that like
with the
people
garage tapes
wouldn't
and all that.
listen to that? You think our listeners at home wouldn't just be lapping up any slop we put out at this?
See, here's the wow. I wouldn't say that. I think our listeners have discerning taste and follow along with what we do quite well.
I think your listeners are all sexy as hell, hard as a rock, and I want to kiss them on the lips.
All of that can be true in accordance with what I just said. Just to be clear.
Yeah. But I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
I think both of you would get annoyed at me for how much I like certain early Metallica songs. I think I would be the villain of that podcast.
Oh, maybe.
When has it ever bothered me that you have bad taste? I married you, didn't I?
It's true.
That's true.
Speaking of poor taste,
Sure.
let's go ahead and talk about the topic this week because
Oh, boy.
I wanted to do something. This one is kind of for me. This one is something. I
Then
think
why'd
it's very
you have
interesting.
me and Jules on?
Well, because I need an audience. You know,
Okay,
I
okay.
need someone to talk to because I wanted to. I'm dipping into that whole like how things permeate into society kind of. You know,
Okay.
the shit that I get really into.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about ghost hoaxing in the late 19th century Australia.
Interesting. You know, we did get to touch on some of that with the spiritualism stuff.
Yep.
I'm curious. Is this? You know what? I'll let you take it, but like, a lot of that early spiritualism stuff, the Fox sisters and like knocking and like the Houdini going in and showing everybody here's how this works. Did a similar movement make it to Australia? Like I don't know what this could.
What's fun is that this in reading about this topic, I came across references to two other things we've covered on this podcast specifically. Like the spiritualism stuff, of course, there's stuff about, how hoaxes happen, but this is a very specific thing.
Okay.
It is most analogous in terms of what we've covered with the tales of both Spring-Heeled Jack and the Mad Gasser of Mattoon.
What the fuck? Okay.
I want to talk about this because I think it's very interesting how we'll get to it. Okay. As a blanket before we get into this, I just want to give a shout out to the person that is providing almost all of the information for this episode. There is like a guy that has done the scholarship on this whole topic, and I just want to shout out Dr. David Waldron, who wrote a paper called "Playing the Ghost: Ghost Hoaxing and Supernaturalism in Late 19th Century Victoria," and that's Victoria, Australia. That's from like 2014. He also has a podcast that he does research for called Tales from the Rat City that covers a lot of this stuff along with many other things in this area and the kind of in this area of Australia and their kind of history with the supernatural and history with these kind of cultural off-gassing of folklore, I guess. And they do a lot of things with like voice actors recounting firsthand accounts, which is kind of cool. So shouts out to that podcast.
Jules, were you there for one of these? Because we've covered Spring-Heeled Jack and the Mad Gasser.
I was literally going to ask. I think I was on both.
I think you might have.
I think I literally did both those episodes. So you'll put me to the test here if there's actually like overlap.
There's not a lot of like things
because those are both multiple
know.
years ago at this point.
Yeah, because Spring-Heeled Jack was like first couple years of the podcast, and Mad Gasser was at least when we were in Indiana. So like it's both of these have been a long time
Mad
ago.
Gasser, I almost feel like me and Garrett were both on.
That would make sense.
I could be crazy. I think they're both pre-pandemic.
I think so too.
Anyway.
Okay. So David Waldron is the guy when you want to learn about this. He's a lecturer in history and anthropology at Federation University, and has wrote books about various things with folklore, witchcraft and stuff, pagan stuff. So is a scholar of this area. So
but is he a gentleman?
That I can't say for sure. Never met the man, but I hope to. I would like to think.
I would like to believe he's a gentleman.
So, what we're talking about here is kind of.
Is that what Mulder's poster was talking about?
If you ever pressed Mulder about his "I want to believe" poster, he would go on a very specific explanation that he really hopes that the guy researching the Mad Gasser and the Spring-Heeled Jack in Victoria, Australia is a gentleman.
Yes.
And every time they bring it up, the person who asks him about it is like totally baffled. No clue what you're talking about, Fox.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today takes place between the 1870s and the beginning of World War I, which is when this whole trend kind of was sunset for reasons that I think will become apparent as we talk about what this is. So this is a topic that I found almost entirely by accident. Sometimes I just like search, variations of like unique hauntings, weird hauntings, most extreme like trying to find lists to like give me new things to like branch off to. And I found this on a list of like famous hoaxes and stuff. And it seemed like an interesting topic. So to get into this, to set the scene for where we are, we're in a post gold rush Australia. So there are towns, there are settlements, there's all this stuff. The British have sent a lot of people over. It's that whole era where there's a lot of immigration in Australia and a lot of new people and a lot of cultural clash between the various people and their folklore. So in doing this, you get a lot of the kind of old world superstition being reinterpreted in a new in a new dynamic, in a new world, effectively. And this led to an interest in a lot of ghost stuff in this time period, and a lot of debate in the scientific community and various other kind of tangentially related scholastic communities about the place of ghosts in the modern society. Whether it is something that is, they have some sort of spiritual reality, whether it's entirely made up, whether it is just like a vestige of a simpler time that you can look at back at as like a cultural object. There's a lot of that kind of debate going on around in this time period. Specifically, Waldron cites a couple lectures, one of which was hosted at the Mechanics Institute in Melbourne on the June 9th, 1860. And it was all about the kind of almost like a lost innocence of people getting beyond ghosts as like a culture and as a society, looking at how this kind of shared belief in ghosts is actually beneficial to society as a whole, because it establishes this kind of common folklore and common air of whimsy and mystery that is conducive to society functioning well, which I think is an interesting point of view to look at these things through. The lecturer would go on to argue that ghost seeing and ghost feeling are uniquely the preserve of humanity, and that the decline of the respectability of the belief in ghosts has led to a loss of the sense of the sublime, wonder, and connection with heritage and the magic of life. There was another similar and well-received lecture by a guy named David Blair of Melbourne under the title A Plea for Ghosts. So there's like this almost like, hey guys, we can't leave ghosts entirely in the past. I think they serve a cultural purpose for mankind, and like folklore shouldn't entirely be left to the past in this time, which I think is an interesting place to come from.
That is all really interesting. And I gotta say, whenever we talk about a historical time and place, my brain always tries to go, okay, what is the vibe? What is the vibe of what was happening then? What were the people like? What was the vibe? And I'm realizing that I have such an enormous blank space where Australia should be.
Yeah.
That I don't really have like great context for that.
Jules, do you have a lot of context about Australia in the 1870s?
I've seen a couple movies.
Oh, true. What? Yeah.
What's that one movie called? It's not literally called Australia, I don't think.
The one with Hugh Jackman?
No.
Because that one's called Australia.
Yes, that's called Australia.
Or if you prefer
Is that a period piece?
I think so.
Does Kangaroo Jack
there's also
take place in Australia?
For part of it, at least. I think it starts in New York and then they go down under.
Okay.
But if you like Australia, you should check out the miniseries recut of it on Hulu under the name, I think, like Windship Downs or some bullshit. They're trying to skate that one past people, and I think it's really weird that they thought they can do that.
The Proposition is set in the 1880s.
Really?
So I actually do. I am picturing that movie.
All right.
So if it's like that movie at all, I have a great idea. Is Ray Winstone there?
Sure. Fuck it. He's actually, here's the thing. There will be various figures that I bring up throughout this thing, and feel free to figure out, who would you cast Ray Winstone as?
Oh, sure.
In the things that I'm going to talk about in this
My
episode.
favorite game. The Proposition, by the way, technically a Christmas movie. So if anyone is looking for some fucked up viewing this December, gather the family around, throw a log on the fire, and watch The Proposition.
And also, since it's from Australia, you got to throw some shrimp on the Barbie.
Just like how they say it, too.
Yeah, like that. Go ahead, Kyle.
Throw some shrimp on the Barbie.
Kyle, say it like a real Australian.
I never said I could do that. But I imagine it would be something like shrimp on the Barbie.
Yeah.
The actual one thing I can say that I know about Australia around this time period is that it was like a colonial prison, right? Like it was
correct.
That's the one thing that I know. But beyond
So
that,
this is like a little bit beyond that.
That's also one of those things that I know because someone said it to me on a playground once. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I do actually know it, but like, you know those things that you just like heard when you were a kid, and you're like, sure, I'll internalize that as fact.
Yeah.
you know when you're hanging out on the playground and another kid your age comes walking up to you and they say, "Did you know that in the 19th century Australia was a colonial prison?" And then they walk away. That stuff
I
just
know
sticks
that
with
you're
you.
kidding, but that is exactly how I was when I was a
No,
kid.
I believe it. I believe it.
Oh, you just found a new fact? Got to go tell people on the playground.
I
That's
actually
true.
loved, and I have many distinct memories of going up to people and being like, "Do you know the song One? The band that you know that did that didn't actually do it. Harry Nilsson did it." I like was like that. And I just would say it and then like leave.
Hey,
it wasn't a conversation.
Hey.
It wasn't an invitation. It was just like, I'm telling
I'm
you.
going
a
to
fact.
tell you this. Yeah. Hey, look, the walking up to people on the playground and telling them stuff, walking up to random people and telling them a fact about a thing. I still haven't grown out of that. That's an impulse that I still struggle to put down. So
Yeah.
I get it.
I like regularly at my job have to like, I like open my mouth and then I just stop and I'm like, does this need to be said out loud in a room of people that don't know you like that, Julia?
So I'm the same fucking way, 100%.
I luckily avoid that because I work at home in a room by myself and don't talk to anybody.
If someone do you ever get a phone call from the office?
Yeah.
From someone who's actually worked there more than 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Where you feel the urge to be like, I'm listening to this new record today. Do you do that ever?
There was a guy that watched.
You do miss out on water cooler talk now.
Yeah, that watched the same wrestling promotion I do. So whenever something big would happen there, it would be like at the end of the meeting, okay, we got to hold on for a minute after the meeting and we got to like discuss the thing that just happened in AEW. But otherwise, no, that used to be lunch. Like whenever I would go to lunch and then the pandemic happened, I stopped going to restaurants and then I moved like hundreds of miles away. And so I don't do that anymore.
My one of my weird things happened the other day that I tried to reference the commercial for A Star Is Born
Okay.
to someone at my job who is like 5 years younger than me.
Sure.
And so, like, not only was I referencing the trailer that would play on TV, not even the movie, but I was referencing it to someone who could not have given less of a shit about that when it was happening. You know what I mean? Like, she just was living her life. She wasn't going out to see A Star Is Born the way that I was obsessively, like, keeping track of that movie. But I tried to say I just wanted to get another look at you. To a girl at my job. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, there's a part where Bradley Cooper sticks his head out the window and says that to Lady Gaga. And she turns around and looks over her shoulder at him. It's funny if you've seen it.
Yeah. It's like trying to reference. This is like a time, I can't remember. It was somewhere at work. I tried to reference the leaked half audio finished Mummy trailer with Tom Cruise where he's like there's those like screams but no music or background noise,
and sometimes it's just their clothes rustling.
Yeah.
so good.
And I can tell you no one had seen that except me, and I had to show a bunch of people in my office the unfinished Mummy trailer starring Tom Cruise so they could understand the thing I was trying to reference.
But then it digs your hole deeper because then they have to sit and watch it. And the whole time you're going, yes, I'm the person that this mattered enough to me that I remembered it. I referenced it to you.
Yeah.
And then I made you sit and watch it. So that's who I am. That's who I am now. That's how I felt when I was explaining A Star Is Born. I was just like, this isn't worth it, Jenna. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
If Niall followed through on this kind of impulse more often at work, like us, I imagine it would be something like, ring, ring. Hey, Niall, we need you. We got a big order. We need you to do Kid Rock's Room next. And Niall's like, okay, whatever. Hey, did you hear about the new Neil Young unreleased thing? Anyways,
Neil Young, there's a version of Hey Hey My where it's Neil Young on guitar, but the rest of the band is Devo, and it's on Neil Young the Archives Volume 3. And it's on Spotify under compilations. You got to go under compilations, not albums.
What members of Devo?
the band Devo.
All of them?
It's Neil Young plus Devo.
That's kind of
From
sick.
when?
And Neil Young is I believe it was around the time of the Trans tour. So it'd be 80s. And
That's the tour where he leaves the vocoder on.
yeah, that is the vocoder tour, because it is not to spoil the fun of the vocoder thing, but I have a deep fondness for that album because it is specifically an old, out of touch man trying to bond with his young son who has learning disability stuff, because his son loves computers. And so he made an album of synth music with vocoders and stuff to try to like further bond with his son, who he was having trouble connecting with because of the generation gap.
Didn't know
and
that.
I think it is one of the most like heartfelt things from a rock person I've ever seen. I think it's wonderful.
I sincerely hope that Neil Young never dies.
Well,
But if he does, I hope that science has progressed enough that we can learn something from his brain.
Yeah.
That we can take it out and look at. He's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
He's so weird and interesting. And his music is so beautiful. We talk about all the time the fact that like all of his albums, like for the amount of perfect music that he has made.
Yep.
Perfect, unimpeachable music where it's just like songs that destroy you no matter how many times you listen to them, that make that like are life affirming, or
Yep.
he has so many perfect songs. He also has like the highest hit rate of absolute shitters.
Yeah, he's
catalog.
he's one of those guys that during his peak run, everything was either a 10 or a 1.
Yeah.
It,
Every
like,
once in a while he's like, and I'll just shit this one out.
his classic albums have no middle sliders, and then eventually he only has middle sliders. But like,
Do you think so?
no, like I think he still has.
I think
hits
Barn has some
nowadays.
bangers.
It
That's the most
does.
recent
You're
one I've
right.
heard, probably.
But and like I got into Neil Young from a very weird album called Les Noise that like nobody gives a shit about. And that was like 2012, I think. So I can't really speak to it.
And see, what did I tell you? No more niche references for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, let me just let me get my rant on Chrome Dreams.
We're
next.
doing
gonna-
this. This is all so accessible to everyone listening
no,
to it.
look, this is going to be a 3-hour tangent filled, like the ghost thing in Australia, whatever. That's cool, I guess. But we're gonna go on some journeys here, and I'm here for it. And I had no idea about the vocoder thing. That is a very earnestly sweet thing. But I will also throw out there, still funny that he forgot to turn it off when he thanked the crowd.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like got
still
it
pretty
on, and
funny.
he goes like, "Thank you."
Yep. It's so good. It's so good.
The fact that he's saying thank you, it
Yeah.
could be anything, but the way thank you.
People at home, look that one up.
Yeah, go look up the album is called Trans, and it's by Neil Young. It's worth a listen.
But
It's
Kyle and I
legitimately
are
cool.
discussing just a clip that goes
True.
viral on Tumblr once in a while with no caption. Like,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
yeah.
It's from a live video of him during that tour, though, so it can't be that hard to find.
No,
It's the internet.
it's one of those things that like it's probably on Know Your Meme or some shit. Like, go figure that out. Okay. So, big cultural influx of immigrants in the 1850s. They bring all their culture, all their superstition. There's a lot of kind of debate on whether or not these superstitions and beliefs have a place in modern society. And some people are advocating for the fact that yes, they do, because it's a shared sense of wonder that makes you human. So let's get into the like low key crime. So another thing about this time period in Australia is there's not a significant police force. There's not a lot of people that are keeping law and order in place.
Which is what the police do, as we all know.
Look, we can. It probably worked about as well as it would with police here, but that's part of the lore of this story. Is like there was not a lot of intended people trying to keep law and order at this time. They were very overtaxed.
You're never going to believe this, but that is a integral plot point to The Proposition.
Oh, really?
Okay.
2005, starring Ray Winstone.
So there you go. We got backup from our first historical text, The Proposition, starring Ray Winstone. So
Written by Nick Cave.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
okay.
We're doing
Okay,
niche
now hold
references.
up. Do we want to talk about Nick Cave for a minute?
I mean, we did. What were we watching? That it was the Scream movies that drop the needle on Red Right Hand in like 2 or 3 different movies.
2 that we watched. I don't
Yeah,
remember if
in
there's more.
3 and
That's
5.
been a popular needle drop in the last however many years. It was on
Scream
like
Scream 3 was like 99.
Well,
so
sure,
the
but
last-
Sopranos had it on there.
Sopranos. It was on that show I didn't like about London gangsters,
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders. Yeah, it was on
Peaky
there.
When
I'm
did
pretty
you
Blinders?
sure.
when did you watch Peaky Blinders?
I watched a little bit of it with my parents because they're into it.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that was on there because I've had conversations with my dad about Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and like noise music and noise rock and stuff. And I've probably told him on 5 separate occasions that Red Right Hand is Nick Cave. And my dad's like, "Oh yeah, oh I like that song." And each time it's the same exact conversation playing out. So
we got to get your dad into Grinder, man. I think that's a really good direction for him to take.
yeah.
So specifically where we're talking about in Australia is called Victoria and the town of Ballarat. Ballarat is one of the kind of hubs of this activity in the 1870s through the 1890s. And a lot of this stuff, tensions were kind of running high. There was a lot of now this is from the recountings of David Waldron and some other people that I was reading. It seemed like there was a lot of kind of low-key crime in the area. There was a lot of like, pickpockets and muggings and this kind of stuff that was kind of then swept up into this playing the ghost phenomenon. And
Weird. Do you think that could have any connection to Australia being like a prison colony?
it very well could.
And I'm not even saying because they put criminals on there. I'm saying because of the conditions of something like that, you would probably create some need to do things like that to survive. That is my guess. But again, I don't know very much about Australia.
Well, and also like, I mean, there's a little bit of that. It's hard to say fully because I have some. And once we get into the specific accounts and stuff, we'll talk about that a little more. But overall, the subject of ghosts and everything got to the point where by the 1890s, there was a thing in like newspapers and the public consciousness that was being referred to as the quote ghost nuisance, where the idea of ghosts and ghosts as like an occurrence in your life the stuff we're going to talk about was happening enough that it became like a societal touch point, that like there was this thing where like ghost nuisance was taking up the public interest and wasting time and money for like Australia at large. Which I think is kind of funny when we start to get into what these things were. Because
I'm a dunce.
Sure.
So, when was that happening in America? That we were obsessed with ghosts and that people were like doing.
When was the
hoaxes and
spiritualism?
stuff?
Spiritualism
America,
is
Kyle?
like mid to late 19th century, but then it kind of starts to really solidify toward, like, I would say late 19th century is when it really starts to become what it would sort of be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So around
It's around the same time.
Similar time, yeah.
In a lot of places around the world, basically, is what I'm getting at.
That's
Which is
probably
interesting.
right, yeah.
But did it ever reach that point in America that people were like, "We gotta cut it out with the ghosts"?
I don't know if it reached the level of like having a terminology of the ghost nuisance or whatever, but I do think spiritualism and like the kind of rebuff of and fascination by, like, it hit a fever pitch in the public consciousness enough that there was like a big turn away from it at some point.
I feel like a lot of that was hoaxes being outed.
Yes,
right?
I would say that there is like a pretty good amount. There were like a bunch of magicians, including like Houdini, who were aware of how the seances and the hoaxsters and whatnot were able to perform these tricks and fool people. And so there is a sort of like anti-spiritualist, I don't know if I would use a word as strong as movement, but there is definitely a number of people who were against it in that way. Yeah, there was a backlash to it because it was very clearly people taking a thing that was sort of like a reassurance of like life after death, especially in the Christian sense, and then exploiting that to make money off of people. So, yeah.
So in this whole movement thing that I'm talking about here, there are some things that don't quite fit the main narrative that I'm going to get into, but just that I'm going to mention. There are some other ghost type things, such as a story of a headless ghost animal that they then found out was just a cat with its head trapped in a lobster tin. Like there are these things. A lot of the stuff that people will look at as ghost stories in this time period was pretty easily disproven for various reasons.
If there's one thing the internet has taught me, it is very common for cats to get their heads trapped in small cans and things. So you'd think that would be something, but I guess they didn't have YouTube back then. So how would you know?
How much did that cat look like Nancy Grace?
So much. It was 1-to-1. Kyle, you said they don't have YouTube. That specifically, when you read about the ghost stuff in this era, one of the reasons why people think it got as big as it did was because there wasn't a lot of other entertainment available for people in the time period at the time. So like literally what we're going to be talking about, I haven't really gotten to the meat of this yet, and we probably should.
I wonder why.
Yeah. It is like when I'm talking about ghost hoaxing or playing the ghost, it is literally people dressing up to then jump out at people and either scare them, rob them, attack them, or in some cases, some light sexual assault.
Oh, well, that's
like Spring Heel Jack.
Like Spring Heel Jack.
That's why you were comparing it. And we didn't let you get to it, honey.
Well, we were going to get to it eventually, but give us like 2 hours, you know. That's honestly so interesting. I mean, you can kind of extrapolate too from the way spiritualism in the United States, which we've talked about, is sort of entertainment, but it's like entertainment with like a how would you say this? It's entertainment with like this almost deeper value to the individuals experiencing it if they believe in it. You know what I mean? Like that does make sense. That it's like, fuck it, YouTube's not going to be invented for another 100 or so years. We might as well dress up like ghosts.
People are talking about ghosts a lot, so I might as well wear some weird clothes and use that newfangled technology of phosphorescent paint. Yeah, that's one of the main components here.
That's a Scooby-Doo trick.
Yep.
That's like an actual Scooby-Doo villain thing.
Australia had actual fucking Scooby-Doo villains in the 1870s.
That's kind of sick.
Because phosphorescent paint was patented by a man named William Balmain in 1881. And that led to like a whole new wave of ghost hoaxing. Like before that, there was people in costumes at night, like trying to spook people. My favorite one being, this is one of the big ones that people will talk about. There was a guy who haunted the region between Ballarat and a place called Kifflemore, who dressed in white robes with a sugar loaf hat, which is effectively like, it's like a wide brimmed circular brim hat with like a conical top.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Yeah.
That kind of like plains hat, you know? And he would jump out and make like, to scare workers and passersby with very weird screams and calls, and also like throw shit at them before running off into the countryside. And people took to calling him the Wizard Bombardier, which I think is like one of the all-time titles. I think that's fantastic.
That's the new subclass.
Born in the wrong era.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that's the new subclass they're adding to D&D. I think the Wizard Bombardier.
Yeah.
Wow.
That guy specifically.
Yeah. But then once you got the phosphorescent paint, there was a guy in a place called Essendon who would dress up as a knight and put a skull and crossbones and phosphorescent paint on his chest and start jumping out and attacking people. And also various people would just like soak a sheet in that newfangled phosphorescent paint and just wear it like a ghost sheet and like go around and spook people. Like it is so like, kids now trying to find things for Halloween was just like people in Australia at this time period just trying to scare the shit out of each other and sometimes attack or commit various acts of petty thievery and stuff on each other.
Why doesn't anybody put on a phosphorescent sheet and go and deliver a freshly baked loaf of bread?
I would love
Darn someone's socks.
I would love that.
Why can't we ever do good deeds
People don't.
under the auspices of being a ghost?
You don't want someone to be dressed up as a phosphorescent knight and start shouting prepare to meet thy doom and like trying to attack
No, I
them.
do want that actually.
It doesn't sound. It's when you put it like that, it sounds pretty cool.
Supposedly that guy that was dressed up as a knight with prepare to meet thy doom on his breastplate, he threatened to behead a 12-year-old boy one evening. And this was like, so
We've all been there.
Yeah.
this is what I'm getting at. It's like the stories get pretty ridiculous. Like there's a guy that would run around with a coffin lid attached to his back and like with like phosphorescent paint all over him and stuff to like be a weird shape. Like the creativity with like common materials that these people came up with to like sometimes flash each other. There is that element. A lot of it was like, men trying to do unsavory things, but it's like it's really weird. It's really interesting. And this got to be such a thing that like what little police force they had started to recommend people to like, if you see something that looks like a ghost, shoot it first, because if it's actually a ghost, it won't do anything. And if it's not a ghost, it will take care of it. Like it.
And if it's not a ghost, they deserve it.
Exactly. Like that was the public word put out by like people in charge to be like, you might want to shoot first and like figure out if it's a real ghost after the fact.
That's such a sick Halloween idea, though, to like get a phosphorescent sheet, cover yourself in it, sit on a corner, and just yell at people that they're doomed or whatever. That would that would go pretty hard on Halloween here.
The casket lid on the back, literally, I was like, sounds like something my brother would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one listening to this knows my brother, but you do.
I do.
And it does, doesn't it?
It's very
I was like, I can just picture my brother doing that, but not in a malicious attacking people way, just that he would think it would look cool. It's good character design.
Yep.
Well,
and I think he would enjoy walking around being enigmatic.
I was going to ask, where my brain went was the guy keeping, various weapons and stuff in the coffin on his back, like the guy from Trigun.
That I did think of the guy from Trigun when I was reading that, but it's just the lid on his back. He doesn't have the full coffin, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
I pictured the guy from the merchant from Resident Evil.
What are you buying?
What are you selling?
Yeah.
Prepare
Hello,
to meet
stranger.
your doom.
All right, 5 more minutes of impressions, and then we'll move on.
no.
Yeah, just a type 5.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Jules.
I did not have sexual relations with that
Now we're
woman.
broadening it out, yeah.
You said impressions.
I did. So one of the most famous of these ghosts was a guy that actually got charged with indecent exposure and assault in Ballarat in 1904 by the name of Herbert Patrick McLennan. As a ghost, he was described as wearing a long overcoat with Indian rubber boots and wielding a cat o' nine tails.
Oh.
He would jump out at young women and expose himself and attack them with the cat of nine tails. To the
This
point
is a typical McLennan shipper. Typical behavior.
Yeah. When you ship someone so hard, you change your last name. That's fantastic.
I named you after the 2 bravest men I ever knew.
Oh my God, that's
Sorry.
that's quite the reference. I like that.
Yeah.
I hear something like this, and I think we really gotta bring back like public disgrace type imprisonment, where like you take a person.
You want to bring back the stockade?
Yeah, you put him in. See this crime specifically. You put him in the stockade, and you just let people throw whatever fruits and vegetables they want.
And you spank their little butt.
well, I wouldn't
Pull their
go
pants
that
down, spank them.
What with this crime? Maybe that's not allowed. I think.
Okay.
Okay. Fair.
Well, here's what did happen. This guy became such a menace.
They shot him.
That a reward of £5 at the time was issued for information leading to his arrest, and the police started to patrol the area dressed as women in hopes of catching him in the act. And then a letter arrived at the office of the mayor of Ballarat, signed by the ghost. And here is what that letter said. Oh, hell yeah. Dear sir, I see that you and your Bally counselor's knave fixed a reward of £5 on my head, but you didn't say whether dead or alive. And furthermore, you said you would have me plugged with a lead on sight. Mr. Mayor, I give you warning that the first man I see with his hand in his pocket or otherwise looking suspicious, I will plug a bullet through him. I hope you will caution the rakebite portion of your counsel on my intentions. Yours truly, the ghost.
Hey, is this a Monty Python bit?
Kinda, yeah. It's like this guy's just.
It's like,
I imagine this guy. Kyle, do you know the Batman villain, the Gentleman Ghost?
The name sounds familiar.
By the name, you can kind of guess what he looks like. Yeah. This is what, if you imagine the Gentleman Ghost from Batman holding a pretty wicked looking cat of nine tails, you've got what this guy is. Like that is what this guy looked like. And I think that's fucking wild. So can I just say just for a second? Yeah. You just know that their women disguises were the most embarrassing. Oh, horrible. Yeah. These guys were not trying. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know when a cop tries to buy drugs from someone, but they still have like their New Balance on? Yeah. It's like, we all know.
We know what's going on here.
They're wearing the windbreaker and shit.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So McLennan worked as a clerk and was also a well-noted elocutionist. So I guess he was a pretty well-respected member of society. Yeah. No, he was an orator, I guess.
Oh.
And like this was one of those cases where the police kind of thought it was him for a long time, but they had to wait until they had enough evidence. Like he got charged as being a willful vagabond, and like ended up actually getting taken down.
Karmically unfair because willful vagabond is the coolest charge you could ever have, and this guy sounds like he sucks.
That's the new class in the new D&D.
Yeah.
What's an unwillful vagabond?
Man, I wish I had a good joke for that.
Sort of like what the fuck? Charlie Chaplin's what was that character called? The Scamp or whatever. The Tramp.
Yeah, the Scamp.
I don't know.
The Shrimp Scampy.
So this guy was caught, found guilty, and sentenced to a year's hard labor. But he was soon released after that on appeal because he was able to produce an alibi for one of the attacks. However, the judge basically was like, I know that one you have an alibi for, but everything else is pretty fucking cut and dried.
Yeah.
But he still got off. Like it didn't go super well for this guy. Well, it went well for this guy. It didn't go well for his victims, I guess. Now you might ask, I've been talking about a series of men perpetrating these crimes. Were there any women who participated in the ghost hoaxing crisis?
Hey, can I just say blanket statement? God forbid women do anything.
Yeah. So here's just a couple incidents of women joining in on the ghost hoaxing trend.
Jules, is that a quadruple finger cross I'm seeing?
Yes. Yeah.
Look, she's standing the woman.
As soon as Niall started the sentence, I was crossing my fingers hoping a woman did this.
So there are only a couple, and I'll just say the women have a lot more fun. So one woman,
we usually do.
One woman who
it's like that song
would go out.
Sorry,
what song are we talking about?
Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh, Girls Just Want to Have, of course.
Man, I feel like a woman.
Dude, one of the bits should have been that they killed the guy who got off.
Dude, looks like a lady.
Dude, you're getting Adele.
Sorry, everybody shut the fuck up for 1 second. Let Niall finish.
Okay, women can do things too. Okay. One woman dressed up as a ghost at night to steal chickens from neighboring homes.
Nice.
Just as that was one of the big sheet kind of ghosts. But another one was found impersonating a male, and she had taken to hiding underneath bridges wearing phosphorescent robes and a mask to frighten passersby, quote, into fits, which I think is especially fun. Like, she was really going for like spookiest version.
She's trying to be scary as hell.
Yeah. But my favorite one is there's a story of a woman who dressed as a ghost and just like had a guitar and would hang out near this hotel and just like play weird music at people as a ghost. So like there's a lot more kind of whimsy in those. Like the stealing chickens is one thing, sure.
They might have baked bread.
Yeah.
You see,
you might have gotten some spectral sourdough out of that kind of stuff.
I also am like, I don't care if this is true or not, but in my heart, I know that the one with the guitar, everyone knew who that was and what she was doing. And they were just like, Sally's playing the guitar again.
Yeah.
Like, and they liked it. They just were like, it was like part of the ambiance.
Yeah. So there was, not only did women do this, but we now have the kind of response to all this stuff. People started to be armed and start going to shoot on site anytime someone would do this. There was a man by the name of Charles Horman who shot his shotgun at a suspected ghost and then also beat up another one with his walking stick to save a woman who was being accosted by a ghost. Okay. So you started to get these like anti-ghost vigilantes popping up who just would be like out and about trying to curtail this ghost problem.
That's so
I bet
crazy.
there were also people who murdered people and then dressed them up as a ghost after.
I mean, probably.
and
Yeah.
they're like, I had to do it. He had a phosphorescent sheet on.
That is a good point.
There was also a woman by the name of Mrs. Date who started to go out with her bull terrier and had trained her dog to like attack hoaxers. So like you started to get not only hoaxers accosting people, but then various people going around and like either beating up or straight up just killing people who were doing ghost hoaxing. And so that became known as, quote, laying the ghost as opposed to playing the ghost, which is one of my favorite details of this entire thing.
I imagine if when that for that like month that there were just clowns everywhere.
Yeah.
Imagine if like the NYPD issued a statement that was like, you can just
Kill
shoot them.
on site.
Yeah,
You don't have to ask.
That's
like you can just shoot anyone dressed as a clown.
Not only you can, but that should be your first impulse.
Yeah, like we suggest if you see a clown that you shoot them, and then we'll figure it out after.
Didn't that happen? Didn't somebody who was doing the clown bit get shot or something?
I'm pretty sure something like
Probably.
that happened. Yeah.
I mean, that is the kind of thing where it's like you are kind of taking your life in your hands if you decide to go and just intentionally try to scare strangers.
Yeah.
Now,
Like I'm not saying that it's you shouldn't kill people, but like, why would you take the chance? Like, I'm going to try to scare the shit out of another human being who I don't know. So I can't account for how they're going to react to being scared.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Just for fun because you want to dress up as a clown? I didn't understand the clown thing when it was
now
happening.
if this was happening with the clowns and you called it, and if this was happening today and you called it laying the clown, it would be a different thing, not the shooting and killing. It would be like the clown you would be having sex sorry, go ahead, Niall.
Yeah. No, so this, like, the thing that cut an end to this is something that is a little, sobering, whatever.
Okay.
World War I started, and the idea of fanciful notions around death and ghosts and stuff became less in vogue. The society changed as the First Great War happened, and all in all, this whole kind of thing petered out as the public kind of started to go against it and the World War was happening.
One guy tried to be a ghost in a uniform, and everybody was like, Jeremy!
Dude, bad taste.
Too soon, man.
Yeah.
And then they all were like, okay, we got to stop doing this. It was just it was like at a party when everybody is just like, okay, it's time to go home. It was just, they turned the lights on in Australia and they were like, everybody out, no more ghosts.
I saw the ghost of my bayoneted son last night. How dare you?
How fucking dare you?
Yeah. So as Waldron puts it, the war showed that there were, quote, far bigger issues at stake, and the symbolism of death became less amusing. So, human mortality became a little less fun for people, I guess.
Weird that you didn't extend the same sort of feeling to the people that you were just fucking murdering, who were dressing up as ghosts. Like, look,
Yeah.
I get it. If the guy pulls his putt out and is a fucking freak, you have the right to, fuck him up. But like the idea that there were some people out there who were just like, I'm gonna dress up as a ghost and ooh, like you have to kill that guy. I don't know. It's a little extreme.
Yeah. But the thing that I want to kind of leave the topic on, this is a quote from Waldron's paper, just kind of about the whole act and what it was, and why it was kind of interesting. The elaborate nature of their costuming and the care taken by the hoaxers to create a sense of theater around their exploits gives us an insight into how important this sense of transgression was to hoaxers who routinely risked arrest, disgrace, and vigilantism to become ghosts. What better way to challenge class, enlightenment values in the social order than to become a symbol of death, in some cases literally, given the high toxicity of phosphorescent paint, to terrify people beyond reason.
Hey, you didn't mention that until now.
Oh, I mean... Yeah, I didn't know if that was... I guess I just assumed that was commonly known. I don't use paint on your skin unless it's made for that, because most paints have like lead and shit in them.
Is that the same thing? The girls, the ladies... oh God! Don't leave this in the podcast. I can't remember what it's called.
The Irradium girls, or
Is it a similar thing?
Yeah, women in factories making. I forget what they were making.
Yeah, I forget what they were working with exactly. Like why? But
Yeah.
they were working with it with their bare hands,
And it was
they glowed in the dark.
radioactive, and
And so it's one of those things that like some people who are like into the macabre and weird have like taken it as like an aesthetic thing, but it's a really fucked up thing, and a bunch of women died because they were being forced to work in terrible conditions
with like radioactive materials and shit. Yeah.
It's just because that was before we understood what that shit was. It
Yeah.
was just like, it glows in the dark. Cool.
Yeah.
Just stick your hand right in there.
Yeah. Go ahead and just like dip yourself into this
lick
paint.
it.
Have you two heard of the Demon Core?
Oh yeah, I know the Demon Core.
Demon Core. It's like it's that and the Elephant's Foot always. I like to imagine if the Demon Core and the Elephant's Foot came together, they'd have like sort of like a Voltron situation,
and the world would just end.
And the world would end. Yeah. But for those who don't know, the Demon Core, look it up. It's like this sphere of what was it? Uranium.
I think
it had to do with the Manhattan Project, like when they were experimenting on the atom bomb and stuff.
And there was some handling error.
Yes,
where they used some unsafe ways of handling this incredibly dangerous thing, and it almost killed killed people. It almost killed everybody.
Multiple handling errors. One guy who just straight up blasted himself because he was trying to play Legos with it, basically, and it just killed him within 2 weeks. And then there was like a room of scientists that all got blasted with radiation. Killed the guy who was close to it like really quickly, and then everybody else presumably got radiation sickness. It was fucked up.
I learned about that because it was a fascination of the self-defense family message Tumblr. Like the number of times they would talk about the Demon Core as like an example of humanity just like eating itself was
Tumblr also just loves that shit though.
Yeah.
Tumblr as a website, like that's not a self-defense specific thing. Like that's a Tumblr demographic.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I learned about the Demon Core.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really showing my ass that I'm active on Tumblr right now. Nobody come and find me.
I do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
okay.
not particularly active.
I don't know if
there.
I've ever actually explicitly mentioned I have a Tumblr. I probably have.
I think
I've
you
been
have.
on this podcast enough times.
Yeah, I have a Tumblr.
Yeah, Trav.
Yeah, I've had one since 2010.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I guess it's time for a big question. Are we all ready? Oh, there's actually still one little outstanding piece of business. Castaway Winstone.
Oh, yeah.
You said a guy's name and I almost said it before. So in the movie The Proposition, he is like the sheriff.
Okay.
So I'm thinking he would be the guy going after the ghosts.
He'd be one of the people laying the ghosts.
But I almost feel like I would like it more if he was playing the ghost.
Yeah.
Because I think he has the range, honey.
He could wield a cat of nine tails.
When you think of Ray Winstone,
Yeah.
I guess I'll ask Kyle this too. Kyle, do you have any touch point for Ray Winstone when I say Ray Winstone?
No, I don't.
Okay, great. I was going to ask, do you picture him as the criminal or as the law enforcement officer? Because he does, that's his dichotomy, basically.
Yeah, he kind of plays both sides of the law.
He's either a detective who like plays fast and loose, admittedly, or he is the crimer doing crimes.
I think of him as a criminal most of the time.
Yeah. So then we'll
Oh.
cast him as a ghost. He'll be the guy with the
I recognize this guy.
I love him. He's one of my guys. He's like why I watched The Proposition. My mom and I both love him, and we watched that movie together because she saw it and really liked it. The Proposition is genuinely like a really terrific movie. It's fucked up though.
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't sincerely saying watch it on Christmas, but the climax of it technically takes place on Christmas, and there's a big Christmas tree in one of the scenes. But it is really good. It's a good movie.
I think you were telling me to check it out recently.
Yeah. Probably because we were talking about Nick Cave. I would
Oh,
guess.
true.
And I said, because I love to be like, let me deflect the fact that I can't confidently discuss his music by saying I watched a movie he wrote once. That's my strategy.
There you go. All right. So do you want to do the actual big question?
Yes.
I guess.
All right.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
I-
Fuck
yes,
it. We'll just
I-
end
no,
it.
I do. No, I
Go
do.
Cut the podcast off.
No. I want to
Break tradition. No big question.
No, I want to do it, I guess. Or I want to do it.
Tradition. I don't know any of the words from that song.
All day I'd bitty bitty bum. Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's true. That's not the one.
no, but you're close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
in
one
the
of the
It's
right
last.
been like
You're in the right
15
musical.
years since
And
I
I thought you were just saying a fact about yourself.
I mean, I would. If I were a rich man.
that all
if I,
that all day
hey,
long, you bitty bitty bum.
If I were a rich man, you know what I'd fucking do? All day? I would bitty bitty bum.
Damn, you're right.
All right. So, if you were to put together a ghost identity to play pranks on unsuspecting locals, what would that
I know.
gimmick be?
I know. I already know.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go. Kyle
I want to
wins.
be. I
How
want to
many
be.
points does he get?
Okay, I'm gonna let you. I don't know if I've told both of you this. I have no idea if it's come up on the podcast before. I watched lots of Scooby Doo as a kid, like a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorites is the guy who's the old timey like sea diver with the sea diver
Yeah.
helmet. I want to do that exact thing. That would be my personal favorite. There's also there's the spaceman who has like a skull in like a Buzz Lightyear looking sort of outfit. It would be like a coin toss between those two, but I'm leaning towards the underwater sea diver ghost guy. That would be my personal preference because like it combines two scary things: ghosts, like hauntings, and the deep ocean. Kind of
All right.
spooky.
That's a really good answer.
Thank you.
And
Very
it,
good answer.
it was immediately formed.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and go if you're not
You
ready.
can go.
So
Baby, I stay ready.
that's
Don't
that's
have to
true.
get ready if you stay
That's so
ready.
true.
So what I want to do is I want to like wear a total like morph suit that's black so that it kind of blacks me out. But then I want to take phosphorescent paint and just paint like a 2 foot tall version of a person on my like down at my feet. So that I'm just like a little ghost that's running around.
Now, see,
know?
The crazy thing about that too is like proportionally, you would have to involve the full height of your legs. So this would be a small person with like weird long legs. Honestly,
I think
we're veering.
I think I would have to have some sort of like floor length skirt with the morph suit to
whatever.
kind of like make the canvas, you know.
I guess I was,
But you're right. It with the way that I was talking about it, I would have to have like stilt leg.
Yeah.
little
If you
thing.
want
Yeah.
it to appear that they have like legs that you know, that it looks like they're a moving thing. Shit, I just realized we're kind of like veering into Nightcrawler territory.
Are you picturing the top 2 feet of you or the bottom 2 feet?
Bottom
of you?
2 feet.
I pictured bottom 2 feet.
How would a skirt work then? You can't have a skirt. You have to have your legs out. No,
you would
it wouldn't look like walking if it was
That's
over.
kinda
a
what
the
I'm
feet
saying.
would terminate where my legs were, and then the body would kind of go up from there. So the feet would be my feet. So it'd be kind of Bigfoot, like kind of like a big-footed little ghost.
Yeah.
But then the body would then just be painted on the skirt.
I guess I'm just saying it wouldn't move right though.
I mean,
As soon as you start moving,
well,
the
unless
skirt
you
would.
pin the
I would run
skirt
backwards.
to the legs.
No, but Kyle, he would run backwards.
so that it kind of stays the right direction.
We're
you know?
idiots.
Look, it's a very funny idea, but we have poked holes in the logistics of it, so we can move on, I think.
All right, yeah, we'll move on.
That's the
We'll
main
just-
idea of
just
this
kidding.
podcast.
Sorry.
Mine isn't a joke at all.
Yeah, mine
but
doesn't
I'm
either.
just gonna say it. But yours was thoughtful, at least. Mine is a tangent that it means nothing to anybody but me, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. Get ready,
Fantastic.
strap in, everybody. So, my family has owned every iteration of the game Rock Band that was available on the PlayStation consoles, and we used to play them like obsessively, and we would sit around for hours playing this game. And my brother and I, really my whole family, but this is mainly a core memory of me and my brother playing Rock Band together. But we were obsessed with like creating our character and changing our outfits all the time, and like making a name for the band, making the logo for the band. It was like all a thing. And then we would spend entire afternoons doing hours long set lists where we would play this game together.
Yeah.
And so
You would do like Bruce Springsteen length concerts.
yes, but so we also spent hours watching each other just do the character creation screen, which is so mind-numbingly boring, but it is like a key part. I don't know how many people actually do that when they're communally playing games with each other, but my family would just make everyone in the room take turns watching each other intricately create characters until it suited the person. And we would change our outfits like every couple songs sometimes, if that was the mood that we were in. And one time I was looking for an outfit to wear in Rock Band, and they have these like preset like costumes that you can wear, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. And my brother was like tuned out, just messing around, sitting. We had this old stool that we would sit, and he always played drums. And I remember him sitting on this stool and just kind of playing with the drumsticks, waiting for me while I'm like with a guitar controller strumming through options. And it makes a little guitar sound whenever you're going. So it's like, bring, bring. Like we leave the sound on while we're doing this. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I started like musing about it out loud. And I went by, there was a complete matador. And my brother went, be a matador. It's fun. Like that. And it's a thing I still think about like all the time. Be a matador. It's fun. So I would be a matador.
There you go. Yeah,
I love that.
Because it's fun.
I love that.
But it also seems like it seemed like it would be a fun thing to lend itself to being a ghost.
Yeah, it would give you kind of
And it
you could have like
gets your
a
gears turning about how the person died.
and you get like a phosphorescent sheet that you hold out in front of you, and like
And-
yeah.
That's
And
what I was
maybe you
picturing.
get-
Or like, and all the like the embroidery on the outfit would be phosphorescent.
And maybe like
And my little hat.
a phosphorescent bowl follows you in your wake.
Now that's just my
Oh, there we go.
dream.
Yeah,
That sounds kind of sick.
we're gonna dip a bowl in phosphorescent paint, and
And then you have, a couple
we gotta
weeks.
leave a little patch on its stomach where it's uncovered so that the skin can breathe.
Oh, you do?
You know? Yeah, that's how is this not a thing that's like people know about? I know this because I read the James Bond encyclopedia as a kid, and they were talking about the golden woman.
No
Goldfinger.
niche references on this podcast.
And
What
how-
are you talking about?
When someone does full cover body paint, you can't do 100% coverage. You have to leave a patch uncovered, or else the skin basically like
Of
Okay.
course, yes.
asphyxiates.
Yeah. That's what happened to Buddy Epson,
sure.
That's I know who you're talking. I know that name.
the Tin Man.
Yeah, the
He had
Tin
an
Man.
Oh,
overreaction
yeah.
to the
Well,
paint.
couldn't you? I mean, nobody's going down like in the taint area.
I mean, yeah, you could put the
Theoretically.
the bull's taint can be unmarred
Let the
by
taint
paint.
breathe.
That's a tongue twister if I've ever heard one. The bull's taint will be untainted
bull's-
by paint.
I assume with concern on a film set, you're counting parts covered by clothes. You need to have skin exposed is the idea?
Oh,
A lot.
sure.
That's why a lot of times bodysuits and stuff will be used so you don't have to paint underneath them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bull's taint will be untainted by paint.
Yeah.
Is that what you were trying to say?
The arsonist had oddly shaped feet.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
The Human
That one's
Torch
always been my
was
favorite for some
denied
reason.
a bank loan.
Oh man.
Beautiful.
I think that's the episode. I don't have it. I'm at the end of my notes.
Well,
there's nothing down here.
well, the next hour we can just do the tangential stuff we wanted to get to.
Yeah, don't have
He's
any
doing a
impressions?
really great bit where he tries to scroll down in his notes app. No one can see that but me. But he said there's nothing else here and was just scrolling on, like trying to scroll down more. Anyway.
Yep, that's what I wrote, I guess.
I mean, I told that great story about the Matador, and that's like,
Yeah, that's kind of the button on
I've
the
been
podcast.
saving that every other time I was
you
on.
haven't, but you keep almost referencing that to me, but you keep going, no. Gotta save that for a pod.
Every night that we go to bed, I say, you ask me, will tomorrow
Is tonight
be the
night for
day?
the Matador? No.
No.
It is fun, though.
It is fun.
My brother was right about that.
All right. So let's go ahead and take care of some business, Kyle.
Yeah.
All right. So if you'd like to find us on social media, we're on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're almost certainly there.
Check us out. Blue Sky at It Gets Weird. That's right. We're on the different, less bad social media website or whatever. We're on Twitter too, but we made the jump. Twitch.tv/It Gets Weird. I stream there with friend of the show Colin, and we do all kinds of stuff. We've been playing Pokemon lately. That's been a lot of fun. So please come join us for a Twitch stream.
Sometimes when I get off work, I jump in
That's
chat for
true.
5 seconds, and then I leave.
That is very true. If you want the cryptid sighting of Jules, come check out.
If you ever see me in that chat, I am literally walking from my job to the train station watching the
Hell
stream
yeah.
because that's when it's live, when I can actually look at it. Anyway.
Email us at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. If you have like a cool story or something fun to let us know about, hit us up. We love to hear from you. Just let us know how we should address you, and we might read your good email on the show. We will not read your bad emails on the show. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. This is the most important thing, all right? $1 tier. That's a tip. You're saying, hey, like the show, like what you all do over there. Here's $1. Thanks for that. But then we have a $2 tier and a $5 tier. The $2 tier, you're going to get It Gets Weird TV, where every other week, Niall and I are talking about weird television. You get to vote on the weird TV we watch next when we finish a season. We just wrapped Neon Genesis Evangelion, so the polls are going to be up by the time you hear this, probably. Maybe something like that. Around then.
Yeah.
So check out the $2 tier, but if you want the most bang for your buck, check out the $5 tier. In the off weeks of It Gets Weird TV, Niall and I are doing World of Weird, but we talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. We just get to get real crazy with it. It's nuts.
And basically, I'm seriously asking,
Yeah.
as a qualified financial advisor, if you're subscribed to the $2 tier, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I agree.
Because you should just be subscribed to the $5 tier.
We shouldn't even have a $2 tier at this point.
It's right there. The $5 tier is right there, and the show is so good, you guys.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this episode that was entirely just us bouncing niche references off of each other, I guarantee you'll like World of
For
Weird.
sure. So please check out the Patreon. Whether you donate to the $2 tier or the $5 tier, you're going to get access to the main show on your own private Patreon feed 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday. And you'll get access to the Discord where we're hanging out. We got a great community there. We chat with them there. You can reach us there directly. It's a great time. We talk about all kinds of topics in the world of weird. It's super fun. So please check out our Patreon and donate. It's the best way to support us. If you can't, though, if times are tight, money's tight, then please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird podcast.
And I was just kidding about the what the fuck is wrong with you thing.
Yeah, we love you. So thank you all for continuing to support the show. We really appreciate it. And it's legitimately really cool that people still care.
Yeah.
This has been It Gets Weird, and I've been Niall.
And I'm Kyle signing out.
Bye.